Hurricane Katrina battered Louisiana and Mississippi on August 29, 2005, with storm surge up to 28 feet and waves up to 55 feet, the highest surge and waves ever recorded in North America. Large portions of the 350 miles of levees and floodwalls surrounding New Orleans were overwhelmed.
2 days after Katrina, past all the National Guard checkpoints on the interstate, every road was barricaded and blocked off and guarded to keep folks from accessing the metropolitan New Orleans area. And as we drove in through Kenner, past the airport, and on I-10 into Metairie, where Gray Insurance Company is located, I was just jaw-dropped and overwhelmed by the sight I saw on both sides of the interstate. People with grocery carts and babies in diapers pushing down the service road, begging for food, water, what have you. And his description to me then was, it just looks like a war zone. And it did.
I personally ended up in a hotel room in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I had my flood files, a few notes, and my company contact sheets. But luckily, I had my family with me, who I quickly deputized into claims takers and answering calls. And we knew from CNN and watching the other media outlets the areas of our city that were devastated and flooded, so we started filing claims, trying to get ahead of the curve, so to speak, and when we did make contact with our customers, hopefully we'd have a claim number and an adjuster's name and number for them to get their process started. It took me about a week to get back into Louisiana, slowly working my way back from Arkansas to Shreveport for a few days, and then ultimately to settle in Baton Rouge, where I had to commute back and forth to New Orleans area to stabilize our situation and reestablish a base of operations. You don't realize your needs until you're away from home in a strange city, living in a hotel room, feeding your family every day, how quickly you go through your wallet. No one had ever dealt with anything like this, so how do you prepare? How much cash do you bring? Most people didn't have enough, and a lot of people don't have the means or an unlimited credit card. When would you get back home, and when you did, what would you find? Would you have a home? Would you have a job? So the people's needs were sizable.
Numerically, it's pretty easy to document. Prior to Katrina, the worst insured loss event in our history, our state's history, was $500 million paid out for losses in a year 2000 hailstorm in the New Orleans area. Most of that paid to restore slate roofs in the French Quarter to their historic condition. Katrina cost private insurers over $25 billion. Rita cost private insurers over $3 billion. 6 times larger Rita was than our previous all-time record insured loss event. Katrina is the worst in the history of insurance worldwide. So those were challenges for us to overcome. And we took a private sector-based recovery under the leadership of then Governor Blanco and continuing under the leadership of our current governor, Bobby Jindal, both of whom have supported our effort to do a private sector recovery as opposed to a state takeover of the insurance market, as the state of Florida unfortunately did to their great disappointment today. So we wanted to tell that story and tell the worldwide insurance industry what we have done over the past 5 years to make our market even more attractive on a daily basis. The levee rebuild that you just saw is one example of things that each and every day get better and better for insurers to consider coming to Louisiana to do business. We have more property insurers doing business in our state today than we did the day before Katrina, competing with each other, and it is starting to have an effect on the cost property owners have to pay for their coverages.
The system that we have in place in the greater New Orleans area for hurricane risk reduction is stronger than it's ever been before. We've done a lot of work in the last 5 years. We've still got a long ways to go, but we're on target to deliver a system of physical features around the greater New Orleans area for hurricane season 2011 that'll provide risk reduction from a storm that has a 1% annual probability of occurrence.
That's the 100-year flood protection?
That's correct.
And what has to happen between now and then?
Well, we've got construction ongoing all over the greater New Orleans area. And there's, I think, 6 more contracts yet to be awarded. That'll be awarded within the next 30 to 60 days. But anywhere you look around the greater New Orleans area, you're going to see construction at work. We still have yet some challenges to get construction contracts off the ground. We're counting on good weather, and we're counting on our contractors to deliver. Everyone has been very committed to delivering this system for the hurricane season 2011, and it's an intense management effort.
We need to continue our effort to attract even more companies. That competition drives down the cost. We've seen it on the commercial property side over the past 2 years. We've seen it over the past 5 years in the workers' comp market, that in the 80s was every bit as challenging as the property insurance market has been for us over the past 5 years. So that is our mission, is to attract more companies to our market, and by doing so, we will reduce the dependence the state has on its market of last resort, Citizens Property Insurance Corporation, which benefits not just the policyholders, because by law, that market of last resort has to be priced above the private sector. So it's the most expensive place one can get insurance coverage. But it also benefits everyone else, because if another Katrina hits, all property owners statewide, residential as well as commercial, are at risk for another assessment, as was necessary for Citizens to finish paying off their claims after Katrina and Rita in 2006.
My message is that we have a lot of common ground between Louisiana and Mississippi, and we look for common solutions between the various states. We both realize that 97% of the destruction caused by Hurricane Katrina and Rita occurred in Louisiana and Mississippi, so we always have common solutions to try to address the problem on recovery.
What is your advice for homeowners in both states as we're, again, in the middle of another hurricane season?
Pretty simple. Stay out of the floodplain. Don't build on the wetlands, and build a stronger house. If you already have an existing house, go ahead and retrofit it with hurricane clips. Make sure your roof is correct. In other words, hurricane-proof it for 110 mile an hour Category 3 winds. It's real simple to do, and it's cost-effective, and the payback's fairly good. And Louisiana has a program, like Mississippi has a program for mitigation. That's the best thing to do. And don't stay in a home if a hurricane's coming. Evacuate when you're told to do so. Have an emergency kit, all the good things you know about.
Number one, we must have flood insurance in Louisiana if you are a property owner, no matter where you have that property. Shreveport, Monroe, Gustav is our 3rd worst insured loss event of all time. And a lot of that damage was flood insured losses in Alexandria and Monroe from the 2 days of 10+ inches of rain that associated Gustav as it made its way through Louisiana and into Arkansas to our north. That's the first lesson. The second lesson is insurance can be made more affordable by strengthening, building to the new building code, or retrofitting to the new building code. There are discounts available by law for taking such measures. And number 3, be a savvy purchaser. Self-insure for the most you can afford to take on in the form of risk yourself, meaning take the highest deductible that you can get. A named storm deductible brings with it a substantial discount in the cost of your insurance. Those are just a couple of the takeaways. The other normal or goes without saying bit of advice I'd give to insurance consumers is shop around. There are options available even in coastal parishes.
If people have questions or would like more information, what should they do?
Please contact us. Call us at 1-800-259-5300. That number again, 1-800-259-5300. Or go to our website, www.ldi.state.la.us. ldi.state.la.us.